This week I had a chance to pick up a new stock straight from Polaroid. Now, if you don't remember Polaroid or Polaroid images, you might be born in the year 2000. But for the rest of us, we'll probably remember them as those old school pack film shooting box cameras that your mom and dad would probably pull out at either Christmas or your birthday or some other random event just to capture the most embarrassing moments of your childhood. You know, long before those iPhones and digitals that we shoot with today, long before any of that. But because of this new delivery this week, I wanted to give you a video all about pack film and a Polaroid stock that you may not have even known existed. And that is Duochrome. Now, this really isn't a new idea because while Polaroid became the Impossible Project at some point in time, and then Polaroid Originals, and then back to Polaroid, basically the Impossible Project took this idea and ran with it and did several renditions of the same idea. They had colors like blue, obviously the yellow, they also did an orange, a pink, different colors but similar ideas that you would take out that white pigment and replace it with some other chemistry to give you a different color. But because Polaroid came out with this new flavor, the neon green, I wanted to give you some ideas on what you should think about before you pick some of this up. There are some things definitely that you're going to have to consider when you buy something like this, especially when you're talking about the price of film right now. So I wanted to be fair to you and make sure that I give you some pointers while also showing you some results. So let me give you a couple of ideas to think about before you purchase. So the first thing to think about when it comes to Polaroid and Duochrome is the fact that it is a short form mini-series kind of stock, meaning that on their website they'll sell it for a short period of time and then it'll just kind of go away. However, this doesn't mean that you can't find it anywhere. What it does mean is that you're going to have to go to a third-party retailer to go and find it. You can really find the yellow really easy right now. The blues, oranges, and pinks, if they're still even like kind of around, which they might be. The problem that you'll find is that they're expired, which typically isn't a big deal, but obviously the further the expiration date goes out, the more degradation you're going to find in your film. So it's something to think about, something to consider. For my film specifically, my green is brand new, but as you can see through this little clip here, my yellow actually expired in June of last year. So for me, June of last year is not that big a deal with Polaroid film. I've shot some that are several years old. But if you're dealing in some that are like 5-10 years old, like some of them would be if you found some of the older stocks, you're going to have to consider that because even if you can find it, it's going to be expired by several years. So keep that in mind. But the second thing and probably bigger thing when it comes to Duochrome is the fact that these images can vary so much. Now to get some examples to show you, I did a little impromptu photo shoot in order to just capture a couple of photos. But realistically, I found that the green was extremely dark, even when I had a light setup, which would have been perfect for just about any other film and probably some other Polaroids, but for these specifically, they varied so much, and they tended towards the dark side almost every time. And if they weren't, they were kind of like washed out in a lot of ways, so you didn't get a lot of contrast. So it's something to think about specifically with the green. Now, it must be said in defense of the green, however, that Polaroid already mentions that on their website. They explain that this is a very experimental chemistry, mixing both the yellow and cyan, that old blue that they used to have, together to give you green, so it's very experimental. Now, when it comes to the yellow, I think that it does a little bit better with exposure and getting a proper image that gives you a good contrast between the lights and the darks. But realistically, you're still going to run into this somewhat because of variance and just the fact that you're shooting with an old Polaroid camera, realistically, probably if you're shooting with anything like I have. So it's something to think about in the fact that you are going to have those variances in both stocks, but the yellow does do a little bit better in my opinion. Not perfect, but definitely better. But overall, who do I think Duochrome is really for? Well, honestly, I think it's for either enthusiasts or collectors or generally anyone that likes kind of Polaroid or Polaroid history or anything like that. Because realistically, when it comes to Duochrome, it's going to take a lot of creativity, a lot of patience, and probably a really keen eye into making something like this into a really outstanding image. because even though I think it is super fun, super interesting, and really anyone can shoot it, I think if you're looking to make an incredible image like those ones that you see on their website or on the back of the box, I think there's going to be a lot of patience and learning that goes into this. So you have to be willing to invest that kind of time into shooting this, especially if you're going to do it regularly. And that's what I have for Duochrome. So hopefully if you've watched to this point, you really enjoyed what you saw. Hopefully I gave you some examples, things to think about, things to consider before you go pick it out. But realistically, if you're still on the fence with it, go pick some up because I think you'll enjoy it. And more than that, if you've watched to this point in this video, hopefully you will hit that little thumbs up button down below, letting me know that you like this kind of content. And also, while you're down there, go hit up that comment box, leave me a comment, let me know what you did. If you picked some up, tell me where your pictures are posted, if you thought about it, what you're considering, all of those things. Put it in the comment box. I would love to know those things. We can talk about it as a community. I would love to get into all those conversations. And of course, while you're there, hopefully you'll check out my links in the description for Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Let me know what you think about there as well. I'm on those all the time, so you can @ me whenever, ask me those questions there if you don't want to put them in the comments below. Anything like that, I hope you will do all of those things. And with that, I'm going to hit you with my typical peace out, and I will see you guys in the next one. Go try it out.